Welcome back for another episode of RBP. I am your host, Ron Bolen, here as always with Jared Borslow. I'm sorry, it's just that I already know the title of the episode, and I know what we're going to talk about, so I'm chuckling a little bit to myself because this is absurd. I've just spent too much time on the internet the last few days, Jared.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be very, very abundantly clear by the end of today's episode. Are you prepared for that kind of engagement?
I've seen the title as well.
As my matelage, are you ready for this?
I think I'm ready. I think I'm ready to dive in.
Okay.
You have been spending too much time on the internet, I will say.
Yeah, no.
You have tech neck. You know what tech neck is?
No.
It's when your neck naturally bends downward because you look at your phone so much. Not to be confused with tech deck, which are a popular brand of finger skateboard.
True. If you don't know what a tech deck was, that was another one of those fads during my childhood that I couldn't all the way participate in. Like, I already didn't really care about skateboarding. So doing tiny skateboarding with my fingers, which just from a, fundamental standpoint seems idiotic to me. Like, I wouldn't play fucking basketball with just my fingers in a tiny basketball. They tried to do this with everything. They made tiny friggin' everything, Jared. They had tiny golf. They had tiny everything but volleyball. I mean, you can go find the tiny version of any friggin' thing. And then they sold it to morons who gave it to their kids like it was funny because they could take it to class or something. Stuck them in their stockings.
Yeah, I've got 2 points.
There's a pandemic nobody talks about.
Do you think anybody has done so much tech deck that they have tech deck neck?
Tech deck neck.
Like their neck's always looking down at their tech decks.
This is like a Bob Loblaw's Law Blog situation.
Secondly, every single guy who you grew up with who did tech deck has the hottest wife.
I don't know. I'm thinking of this one dude in particular, and I'm pretty confident he's in prison. His wife might be smoking hot.
His
prison wife might be a total dime. He's also probably a neo-Nazi, in a gang. So you have to weigh that against the hotness. You can't just go around. People think, oh, all you have to do is find somebody hot and lock them down. What are you, a fucking idiot? You can't just be any old hot person.
How are we not? I know you already had the title decided, but his prison wife's a total dime is an incredible episode title.
We might have to change it. But I'm just saying, you can't go, just super hot people don't just go free of judgment. That's how we got to where we are in Hollywood.
It's true.
You got to find the
politics.
You find a hot person, and in politics, you find a hot person, and then you vet them thoroughly.
Like if Nancy Pelosi wasn't such a goddamn smoke show, she wouldn't have had...
There's no way she'd be on the Hill, Jared. No way, but she's just oozing sexuality from every pore on her carcass. Her fucking mummy body. Who are these decrepit old shits running this place?
Dude,
we're going to find out today.
Chuck Schumer.
When you, that's the thing. You don't even have to have ever seen Chuck Schumer. When you say Chuck Schumer, the image that appears in everyone's head, that is him. That pasty white blob you see, that's Chuck Schumer.
I like Chuck Grassley the best. He's 98 years old, still gets voted in as a Iowa senator every single time. It's like...
but he's probably secretly a fucking neo-Nazi or in some weird organization that takes away our internet rights or something. All of the old people are wrong.
Well, I will say Chuck Grassley
except our listeners.
He has the best Twitter of all time. He just tweets just touched a pig. And it clearly is him because there's extra spaces. And,
that's legit content right there.
Yeah.
That's what I want in my senator. Honestly, I'm dead serious.
He's literally 97.
Nobody wants to see these political campaigns being now. There's just another medium for you to tweet them that your intern's actually tweeting them. No, we want to see real tweets like Ashton Kutcher used to do when Twitcher first started.
Twitcher?
It was called Twitcher back then, if you didn't know. He was one of the original investors and convinced them to change it to Twitcher, and they did for 2 weeks, Jared. Jared, I'm trolling you.
Oh.
Remember you taught me how trolling works? That was a mistake. Dumbass. What were we talking about?
Well, we were about...
Oh, yeah. Headlines. Insane headlines of the day.
Yep.
That's the segment I'm going to do now. Jared, one of the things we like to do on our show is discuss some of the more ridiculous headlines floating around the internet that might not receive the proper coverage or ridicule from your more mainstream, stiff, and truly terrible news sources.
Yeah, we're willing to dive deep into the armpits of the internet to find the news stories that the mainstream media doesn't want you to know about.
On our Westworld podcast, Jared and I used to say we were not heroes. Here we are, full-blown superheroes with actual costumes that we wear underneath our clothes.
And sometimes these headlines will be from right-wing news sources that we found because our grandparents and aunts and uncles shared them on Facebook.
And email.
An email chain.
Often some of the best information that I'll receive over the course of a week will come in the form of a email chain from my grandpa that's made its way through 3 generations of Americans.
Yeah.
And 7,200. You know what those are essentially at this point? That's just a list of shitty people. The old racist ones that go around. And there's white people listening and people of all colors listening who don't know what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is when white people got a hold of the internet, that was just bad to begin with. But then when racist white people got a hold of the internet, the only thing they could figure to use it for was emailing each other weird racist right-wing propaganda chain emails. And they're usually like little jokes or anecdotal stories that result in you going, yeah, fuck the libs. And that's pretty much the entire strategy.
And most of the people don't know how to just reply, so they always reply all.
So then you've got the whole list, right? And just to counter that, to show you how much the Democratic Party sucks ass, that's their competition.
And they can't win.
They can't win consistently.
Yeah.
With any degree of consistency. So just to be, the even keel bipartisan podcast
There's
that we
great
are
people
here.
on both sides.
They're very good people on both sides. Sure, there's plenty of Nazis that have their reasons, and that their story can tell you why they're there. It's just like, be open-minded, you fucking shit fucker.
Is that what it's like?
First headline. That is exactly what it's like. This one's from Vice. You know what I realized? I don't think we've ever used any Vice headlines at all. Just period. Which is just weird because they do often cover some of the exact same topics that we do in terms of insanity. They just did my favorite Grimes headline. Like, there's a bunch to pick from. And Grimes wants to rebound from Elon Musk with lesbian space commune was the most succinct. Pretty much speaks for itself.
It sounds like it could be The Onion headline as well.
But it's not.
Mm-hmm.
It's very real news. Some of which I will read to you now again from Vice. Grimes, the electronic artist, what the fuck does that even mean? Is she a piece of electronics?
Is she like an EDM?
The electronic artist who spent 3 years dating SpaceX founder Elon Musk announced that her post-breakup plans involve setting on one of Jupiter's moons to establish a, quote, lesbian space commune. Grimes, whose real name is Claire Boucher. Wait. Grimes is Bobby Boucher's sister?
Yeah. You didn't know that?
They didn't teach her that little boys were the devil? What was the lesson for her that mama had? Aside from why alligators are so ornery.
Go to space.
Because they got all them teeth and no toothbrush. Go to space was the lesson. Oh, fuck. Anyway, her name's Claire Boucher. Sat in the other room while Musk broke the news about their semi-separation last week to Hollywood gossip newspaper Page 6. Quote, I'll be colonizing Europa separately from Elon for the lesbian space commune. End quote, she wrote in an email today to Page 6. Why are they emailing and corresponding directly with Page 6? I thought Page 6 was the scummiest page in the paper that you go to for generally gossip that is untrue about celebrities.
Well, I mean, I think Page 6... They took that idea and then
named the brand Page 6?
Yes.
And now it's legitimate?
I guess.
That's fucking confusing for me, man. In July, NASA awarded Musk's rocket ship company SpaceX a $178 million launch services contract for its mission to Europa.
Doesn't seem like a lot of money. $178 million? Like, don't those rocket ships cost like $10 billion? Just
I was about to say, first off, man, they went cheap on that, bro. Yeah, Jared, I don't think you can build a rocket ship with $178 million.
But it says it's a launch services contract. Does that just mean they're helping? Maybe Elon has a failure to launch and Matthew McConaughey is going to come in and have to pilot the fucking rocket ship.
What the hell is Europa?
It's a planet, I believe.
What the fuck planet is that? Did they, when they took away Pluto, did they replace it with Europa?
No, I think it's far away. Isn't it? No, isn't that one of Jupiter's moons? Is Europa one of Jupiter's moons?
It's Jupiter 2, the smallest of the 4 Galilean moons orbiting Jupiter.
I'm right. That's
I
kinda
thought
cool.
they were going to colonize Mars. Now there's a lesbian space commune on one of the Jupiter moons. I want to go to that moon. I want a scissor lesbian spoon. but this is the universe we live in now, I guess, where fucking look, these are the 2 weirdest people currently roaming our planet, and they're both actively trying to leave it. And I'm encouraging both of them to do so, especially if one of them is trying to establish a lesbian space commune, which sounds like a shitty, like, fucking sitcom on TV.
It does.
That would end up offending all of the lesbians.
Third cock from the sun.
Yeah, exactly. Which we don't need, but the real life version we probably do need. And just like for argumentative purposes, you know, like I have an aunt who's a lesbian, for example. And the lesbians at this point, they just don't see much purpose for men. We cause a lot of the problems in the world, turns out. And they don't like us for the sex purposes either. Why not establish your own fucking commune on Europa?
No, like
Now, here's the thing.
Yeah.
Just like with their lesbian chat rooms, Jared, the straight white men are going to try to sneak in. I'm putting on a wig and trying to get into this party. You're going to have to stop me, and I understand that. You may even tase me, throw me off the planet entirely, into space, just floating, horny and filled with boner. But I have to try. Because space is the final frontier, but Grimes' lesbian sex space commune on Europa is the hottest frontier.
You know, there's like first base, second base, third base, lesbian commune base on Europa.
Yes.
That's more than a grand slam.
It is the end of the road sexually, and I want to go to there. Even if it means probably having my eyeballs plucked from my sockets, my penis ripped from my body, and flung into to the outer space depths.
The only thing I can think about with this story is obviously, as somebody who's seen every episode of Futurama original run like 10 times, is the episode Amazon Women in the Mood, where there's the entire
all-time great.
Snoo, Zap Brannigan is the body is willing, but the flesh is weak.
This is what,
whatever.
like, for those of you listening, if you're like, what? Okay, hold on, back up. Yeah, I will. Futurama is a cartoon by the same dude who did The Simpsons, okay, Matt Groening. And it's like one of those things where, like, I feel like similarly to how American Dad was kind of written off as like, oh yeah, okay, you're sneaking another one in here for Seth MacFarlane, people didn't necessarily give Futurama the attention or respect it deserved. It is so good. I was not an original run guy like Jared. I watched it over the course of probably a couple years at our former company as things started to go down the shitter as a way to cheer myself up during lunch. I would just sit there and think about how my life was a living hell and everything was going down the toilet. But Futurama would perk me up a little bit. And there's a particular episode, the one Jared's describing.
I think I got nominated for an Emmy that episode. I'm not kidding.
That is an all-time funny episode of television. And frankly, you don't really need to have watched another episode of the series. You could just go watch this right now and enjoy it almost as much as a fan. And that was one of the things about Futurama that made it great. You really could just kind of jump in and out. It's better if you watch it serially, but as a dude who's done both now, because that's what I used to do as a kid, was just jump in and out. Now that I've done both, it's better serially, but it's still so freaking good if you just go to this episode and watch it right now. So you should.
And it has an incredible theme song.
It's streaming somewhere. I can't remember where.
It was on Netflix. They took it off
wherever
Netflix.
It's streaming isn't currently sponsoring us and should be, so.
Yeah, they took it off Netflix like 4 years ago. I don't know where the hell it is now, actually.
Time to cut. It's check cutting season. People need to be aware of that. Fucking. God, that's a good show.
It's so good. Yeah, go check out Futurama, I say.
Yeah, and then go check out the lesbian space commune
On Europa.
Let us know your review when you get back. Next up, from Motherboard, which I think is a subsidiary of Vice, and frankly makes this entire "we've never done Vice" thing before even stranger. Young Scandinavians are sticking nicotine pouches up their asses.
Sign me up, Zaddy. Fill me.
fill you like a Pez with nicotine pouches, though?
Yes.
That's what you want?
Uh-huh.
That's what gets you going, huh? So the young Danes are sticking... This is why I love Vice and the things they do. I'm reading from their column here for a moment. Young Danes are sticking nicotine pouches up their asses and inside their foreskins. Pause. In a trend that's left health experts concerned and baffled, according to Danish national broadcaster Dr. something. I cut it off. Dr. Health. No, but health experts from across Denmark, including the country's National Health Institute, confirmed the trend to doctor. What the fuck is this guy's name?
What, is DR something?
Is DR his full name?
Oh, DR is the name of the Danish broadcasting company. So
thank God. This is hard if you're an ignorant moron like me. Independently, Motherboard found multiple threads on Scandinavian forums where users discussed placing nicotine pouches on or up intimate body parts. Nicotine pouches are popular in Scandinavia, especially among young people. Snus, speaking of snus, a wet tobacco pouch that originates from Sweden, has a particularly long tradition in the subregion, despite being illegal in every European Union country save Sweden itself.
What is snus?
It's smokeless tobacco.
Yeah, but they say it's a wet tobacco pouch. Like, when I think of a pouch, I think it's not wet till your saliva makes it wet.
That is very correct.
So snus is already wet? Why is it?
It's not. It's not. I think that there just something about the way they describe its use, I guess. I don't know. But, yeah, it's a catch-all term for any tobacco or nicotine pouch placed underneath the upper lip.
Oh.
Users report a mild burning sensation in the gum during use. In July, a Danish law came into effect that banned the use of snus and other nicotine pouches during school hours after reports of students sticking the packets around classrooms. One teenager whom DR spoke to recounted how he and a group of friends had stuck nicotine bags up the foreskin of their genitals while drunk at a party. Because I'm circumcised, and I don't know if that's TMI or whatever, but, like, I can't do that. Like, there's not a hidey hole on my penis. Like, there's not a place on my penis to store things.
You have to store it in your friends.
So I'm going to have to use somebody else's. Come forward, friends with uncut weenuses. I'm not even going to get into the argument around circumcision today, Jared. I know you want to so fucking badly.
It's like the last thing I'd ever want to talk about. For so many reasons.
Let's just let it linger for a second.
No.
Are you sure?
In July. Oh, wait.
Okay. Okay, so here's the quote. Oh, wait, sorry. Meanwhile, a health expert told the broadcaster about a boy she had spoken to who had claimed to have done the same. Quote, they got drunk and one forgot to take out the nicotine pouch again. The next morning he woke up and his penis was red and very swollen and hurting. It was the first and last time he tried it, end quote. Yeah, and he blamed that shit on the vaccine, just like Nicki Minaj's cousin.
That's what happens. By the way, it's her cousin's friend. Don't defame her cousin.
Sorry, cousin's friend.
Nicki Minaj's cousin's friend stuck a nicotine pouch in his foreskin, and that's what it wasn't the vaccine.
Ross wasn't even vaccine related.
Ross solved the case. Now, Ross, where's Brian Laundrie? If you're solving cases now.
I'll ponder this.
I think he's the last. I think Brian Laundrie is in the last place you'd ever think to look.
A Dave & Buster's.
A laundromat.
Oh, you think he went with wordplay as his hiding place? He was like, I've got to think of some clever shit.
In the laundry. You'd never think to find dirty laundry.
I do feel like if I walk into the laundromat and that dumbass is in the corner, I'm going to immediately recognize him and call the police.
I saw a guy
him savagely.
You're wrong, because I saw a guy walking down the street who looked exactly like him, but it was in Austin, and I was like, there's no way this dude's in Austin. I think a lot of people just look like this guy, just look like a total penis head man.
God bless that family who lost their child, but this story is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever had to watch be like our next huge news thing. And people are upset, outraged. There's a lot of outrage around missing white woman syndrome, as it's called, and it's like, I just like if there's anybody who at this point is taking it more on the nose from critics than the white man, it might be white women. And where there's smoke, there's fire.
And where there's a penis with foreskin, there's a nicotine pouch.
On a white woman's Instagram.
In Sweden.
That was one that Bo forgot. The black and white with the shadow of just the penis as the nicotine pouch is being inserted on the white woman's Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Denmark is not the only Scandinavian country where teenagers seem to be putting nicotine pouches in odd spaces. Back to the Motherboard article. A student in Norway who was asked to remain anonymous also told Motherboard about how he had experimented with placing snus inside his foreskin. Quote, I was bored and about to take a snooze and masturbate, and my curiosity got the better of me, end quote. He said, quote, so I tucked it in. It was a low-strength, all-white, dry portion, and I didn't feel too much of an effect. Maybe it would have been different with a stronger, moist one. How is that the next fucking thought he had?
But no, his next thought was, I got a cold sensation from the menthol, he added.
You just don't, like, I've tried to explain this, and for women who don't know, like, little boys, we just, like, you have to put your dick on everything and try you have to have sex with everything. And this kid has to put a snooze on his wang while he cranks?
We mentioned before at one point about little kids having sex with pool noodles before TikTok took it down.
Yeah, they did. They didn't like that joke or that series of serious discussion topics, as it were, as it wasn't a joke at all. TikTok, it was very serious. This is like one of those things for, like, I always wonder with Leonardo DiCaprio, once you got to the point where you've spent like 20 years banging the same age Victoria's Secret models, like 22 years old, you know you buck up against diminishing returns there. And at some point, there just has to be nothing that arouses you. And I wonder if Leo has ever gotten to the place where he tried this with a snooze.
Probably. It would be him if it was anybody.
Right?
That's not Scandinavian.
So we do have problems in other countries that maybe don't exist here yet, which is huge. And now I'm sure that we're reporting on this, our teenagers will pick it up and it will spread. And that's also huge. Because if there's one way to identify a moron, it's that he's sticking anything in his ass or foreskin to get fucked up. Whether it be a butt bong, an anal snoo-snoo, or what have you, Jared. Stop it, is what I'm saying, Jared, because every time I catch you doing it, it's fucking humiliating for me. You're supposed to be my number 2.
I mean, I can stop if you want, but only on company time.
Here's a quote from a snooze user who reportedly stuck one in his ass. Tried to put my snooze in my anus once. Quite painful after just a few minutes, but the nicotine craving disappeared, so I guess it works.
Okay.
That's the accent I've got for the
That's the first time I've heard it working. So
ass might be the way to go.
Yeah.
My question is, like, so when you use one of these, you dispose of it. When it's...
You just shit it out.
Oh. Yeah, okay. I could see how some clogging might occur, though, eventually down the line. I think that's enough of this headline.
Yeah, I think we're good.
How about a brighter one for you here?
Okay.
Bill Cosby feels Kelly got railroaded at sex trafficking trial.
I don't even know what any of that means.
Well, we have to talk about this for just at least a second, okay? But from the New York Times, which is not where the headline originated. The headline originated from the New York Post, but from the Times, different New York publication. The conviction of R. Kelly on all 9 counts against him came as a significant moment in the Me Too movement for both black women and for the music industry, ushering in a sense that finally justice had been served. I only have a bit to say about R. Kelly here, and it's, man, good riddance. That dude was a truly terrible human being. I have been living just fine without I Believe I Can Fly or Trapped in the Closet parts 1 through 14 or the remix to Ignition, and will continue to do so in an effort to prevent that sick fuck from ever getting any more money to use in court to smother out the voices of his victims. Like, R. Kelly's I Believe I Can Fly should be removed entirely at this point from Space Jam 1 and replaced with Nickelback's Saving Me.
How does Saving Me go?
Prison gates won't open up for me. You know that one?
I know a lot of Nickelback, and Saving Me is not a top 5 banger from them.
Oh my God, you're an idiot, dude. That's an all-time bench press song. No?
I don't bench press.
Well, if you did, you'd definitely listen to Nickelback Saving Me while you did it. I can promise you.
Okay.
As an avid bench presser with the chest of Arnold Schwarzenegger plus hair. I don't. I have a little boy chest, kind of. It's all right. It's hairy as shit, but it's just not shapely. I have tiny nipples. Itsy bitsy nipples. Have you seen my nipples, Jared?
Oh, I know. I can't see them.
It's a little weird how small they are. Like almost comical. Like when I take my shirt off at the pool, people are like, did something happen to his nipples? Were they attacked when he was young and their growth was stunted? That's where they stayed? Dime-sized? I'm 6'2", hairy as shit. What the fuck happened to my nipples?
The world may never know.
All that testosterone went down to my cock and balls. That's what happened. I can't go straight into an ad read from that joke, so we're going to need a buffer here. Been reading any good books lately?
No. How about Bruce Buffer?
Bruce Buffer's tight.
I can do a Bruce Buffer. Ready?
Okay, do a Bruce Buffer, and I'll take it straight into the ad read.
Yep. It's time for the ad read.
Today's episode of RBP is also brought to you by one of our brand new sponsors, phenomenal sponsor, Uprising Foods. Our food system is fundamentally broken. It's making us sick at scale. The people at Uprising Foods are fixing that. Their mission is to liberate all of us from a fundamentally broken food system that's stealing our health. And they've cracked the code on healthy bread. You can't find something this healthy that tastes this good, that's this fresh, only 2 net carbs per serving, 6 grams of protein, 9 grams of fiber. They cover paleo to clean keto to simple low carb to high fiber to dairy free to grain free lifestyles. They got everything. All Uprising products are baked with real superfood ingredients: almonds, MCT oil, apple cider vinegar, egg white, psyllium husk, olive oil. Uprising is made prebiotic fiber delicious with their patent-pending breakthrough in psyllium husk activation, making fantastic digestive health absurdly easy for all of us. And look, it's difficult these days to find healthy food at a reasonable price. And that's what Uprising Foods does. They've nailed the taste factor on both their sourdough-esque cubes, and the crunch factor on their newly launched Freedom Chips, a great healthy snack that you can substitute for the very unhealthy chips that you no doubt eat on a daily basis.
They are reminiscent, the rye ones, of the little Chex Mix rye rounds.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people's favorite.
I'm a big fan of those. Uprising is offering our listeners $10 off the starter bundle. That includes 2 superfood cubes, 4-pack of Freedom Chips to try. They sent us one of these. It is phenomenal. Go to uprisingfood.com/RBP and the discount will be automatically applied at your checkout. That's UPRISING food.com/RBP to get $10 off your first purchase of the starter bundle.
Grab your light, this is Stop the Wikipedia when you're high.
Stop the Wikipedia when you're high.
Oh, yeah. You ready?
Oh, yeah.
We got a weird one today,
Okay.
but I found it floating around the interwebs. It's a fascinating piece of American history that I was completely unaware of, that is obviously relevant to today. It's 1775 to 1782 North American smallpox epidemic, which is kind of a random thing. Usually our Wikipedia highs when are like a name or an event. They're not like a year and then a fucking event or something like that. So, but that's the exact thing that the Wikipedia page is titled. So I've got a few sources here in an effort to enrich the story. One of them is Wikipedia. The other is the Washington Post, which, as we all know, is George Washington's newspaper. Mm-hmm. But I digress. We all know George Washington as kind of like a military genius and strategist, right? One of the guys who made our country possible with his strategery and his bravery. But there's a story about George I had never heard, which I will share with you now. Traditionally, the Battle of Saratoga is credited with tipping the revolutionary scales, rather. Yet the health of the Continental regulars involved in battle was a product of the ambitious initiative George Washington began earlier that year at Morristown, close on the heels of the victorious Battle of Princeton. Essentially, what happened is 90% of deaths among the Continental regulars in the American Revolution, 90% of them were caused by disease. And variola, the smallpox virus, was the most vicious of them all, okay? So on the 6th of January, 1777, George Washington writes to Dr. William Shippen Jr., ordering him to inoculate all the forces that came through Philadelphia. And he explained, quote, "Necessity not only authorizes but seems to require the measure. For should the disorder infect the army, we should have more dread from it than from the sword of the enemy." So there was obviously a huge sense of urgency from George Washington, who at that point, very smart guy, strategist, that regardless of any other precedent to the situation, if he did not establish a way to get his troops, in this case inoculated, which if you Google, is significantly less fun than the version of vaccination we have today. They were fucked. They were going to lose because it turns out the British had like some version of either smallpox or whatever. They were immune to variola. They had an enormous advantage against the vulnerable colonists. And we were going to lose the whole war if George Washington couldn't get enough of his troops cured of this fucking thing. So that's what they had to do. And they did. I don't know if you heard, it worked. And we won. And that's why we are still here. It's just kind of one of those amazing pieces of history that when you're learning about the Revolutionary War, even if they had dropped this in as a sentence or two, of course, pre-pandemic, I could give a flying horse's ass. But now, I'm like, how the fuck did they not make this the first thing they told us? You know?
Yeah.
It's just kind of we would have lost the war had he not mass inoculated the American troops. That seems, and it was a controversial decision. Even then, people were like, you want me to fucking what? Get sick on purpose? What are you, high? They lost more. Wait, if you want to talk about side effects, lots of people died, Jared. This was not the effective medicinal practices we have in the 21st century. These men paddled in canoes across the river, I can't remember.
Delaware.
It's called history. Help yourself to a history book, you ignorant jackass. Talking to me, too.
And
I didn't know any of this.
Go ruin somebody's Christmas this year.
Yeah, so he ended up with no precedent for the operation he was undertaking, covertly communicating to his commanding officers to oversee mass inoculations of their troops in the model of Morristown and Philadelphia, which were the first places they did it. They established at least 11 hospitals just to do this by the end of the year in 1777. Crazy story, unknown one to me, one that obviously has a lot of context today I wanted to touch on. I like to do that sometimes. Interesting Wikipedias in the form of stuff to Wikipedia when you're high.
Yeah, I did not know about this.
You're welcome, Jared.
Thank you.
You ignorant slut. This episode of RBP is also brought to you by Cuts Clothing. Fellas, the sport of business means demanding excellence from your craft and your wardrobe. Your fits need to be versatile, blending timeless style and comfort so that you look as good as you feel. And for that, there's Cuts Clothing. They're the best t-shirts in the game, Jared. They're phenomenal. I think I have like 7 or 8 of them now in 7 or 8 different colors. And the point here is whether you're hustling for a promotion or working on your golf swing or chilling with friends or going to the bar, Cuts Clothing keeps you feeling good and looking sharp. Usually t-shirts, as you and I know, Jared, as t-shirt connoisseurs, can make you look like a bit of a slob. Not to be taken seriously, perhaps, especially if you mix them with slacks or something. One of the nice things about Cuts is the classic look of ending the workday, unbuttoning the top button, rolling up the sleeves and going to the bar. Well, hey, that sucks, and I think we can all admit that. Take that fucking thing off and put on a Cuts with your slacks. You'll look phenomenal, and you'll feel way the hell better than you did with that stupid, sweaty, stinky Oxford on, you goof. So they're built for performance in the boardroom, and as I like to say, Jared, sometimes the bedroom as well.
Whoa.
The bar, the gym, Cuts keeps you sharp wherever the game takes you. So GQ magazine has called it the only shirt worth wearing. I echo that sentiment. Entrepreneurs, mavericks, athletes, podcast hosts, everyone loves Cuts. It's not just a lifestyle. It's not just clothing. It's office leisure apparel for the sport of business. Hashtag sports. Hashtag business is a sport. Get 15% off your first order of Cuts by going to cutsclothing.com/RBP today. Get yourself some of the best t-shirts ever made. They're awesome. You see me wearing them all the time. I tag them on social constantly on my Instagram stories and stuff. It's cutsclothing.com/RBP. You get 15% off the only shirt worth wearing and support the show. Win-win! Which takes us to our next segment. A listener on Snapchat sent me a selfie of just his forehead, which weirded me out. Just take a picture of the ground or whatever. Your testicles. Just anything that's a good backdrop.
You shouldn't ask for that, I feel like.
Yeah, don't do that. I'm dead serious. I'll just block you. I had to deal with that for a lot of years. I don't need that type of life again, Jared. I'm 34 years old now. There's no more need for this. Please no. So the message said, can you please discuss the phenomenon, I guess it should be phenomena, of soaking and hump jumping? And I've obviously heard of soaking, okay? Mormon soak jokes we've made on the show before, folks. Look at that fucking line. Bars. But never heard of hump jumping. Obviously highly interested.
Well, he got it wrong, by the way.
What is it?
I'm very familiar with this, but it is
Jump-Humping.
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 So he does need you to explain it to him because he doesn't know what he's talking about.
Okay, but you have seen this in some way, shape, or form. On TikTok?
On TikTok, yeah. Which, again, of all the stuff we get our videos taken down for on TikTok, none of them are as like sexual and weird as the stuff they allowed.
Yeah, it really it is strange, Jared. At this point, for those of you who are unaware, Jared and I routinely deal with TikTok bans for our Ross Bolin podcast account because they flag or remove content that, in our opinion, is a hell of a lot less offensive than something like, let's say, this whole thing, which has been born from TikTok, where Mormon teens are filming themselves jump humping, which is just a tactic used to avoid thrusting during penetrative sex. So they're saying if you're Mormon soaking, which is where you make entrance into the vagina and then you remain motionless and you let your penis soak. They're saying that then, to further avoid sin in the Mormon community, you just have a friend come in and they jump up and down on the bed.
Yep.
Thus involving a third party and removing guilt from said soaker, who can then unintentionally get some hump.
Yep. Not their fault.
Not their fault, Jared.
Wow, you were just soaking, which is a totally approved act in the Mormon church, and then somebody came in and happened to start jumping on your bed while you were soaking. It's not your fault.
And you always hear about this, like you always hear about when because we live in a misogynist society. Whenever we were in high school, you'd always hear about a girl who wouldn't give up her virginity, but had done anal to somehow circumvent the laws of God. And this is one of those things where it's like you expect that when you get up there, like St. Peter at the gates of heaven, isn't going to bring this up? Hey, we really commend you for waiting until marriage to have full-blown humping sex. But, Tim, could you comment on the time that you entered Sarah Plashke and then your friend Don came in and jumped on the bed in what you called an act of, it says here, jump humping and used that loophole? Can you comment on that? You think they're going to let you in, Tim? You think you jump humpers are safe from the wrath of God? Just because you think you found a loophole? Anal isn't a loophole either. There are no loopholes. We're all disgusting, perverted sinners. Just accept it and move on. Jump humping? How the fuck is it a TikTok trend? We got a ban on TikTok for a week because I made fun of Nick Merckx's swimsuit. They're on there describing to each other and filming each other soaking and then jump humping.
But it's under the covers, so you can't see it. So it's like, oh, we don't know what they're doing. No, they're jump humping. I know they said
I don't
it
know
in the
what
caption.
Nick Merckx is doing either. That's my whole point. But the Church of Latter-day Saints has a strict code of chastity for its followers, meaning sex is off the table until marriage, including masturbation. There are no exceptions. So TikTok user @xmolex explained that even hugging and kissing for long periods of time are generally frowned upon under this code of chastity, making it difficult for teenage and young adult Mormons to express sexual desires. Quote, sometimes it gets to a point where they just can't help themselves, so soaking is a thing that happens. Molex told her 190,000 followers on TikTok. I told our 46,000 followers that Nick's shorts were questionable. And they banned us. That doesn't make sense to me. I'm going to read this because it's fun to me. Soaking is a sex act that involves a person putting their penis in another person's vagina and staying completely still. User Molex said the logic is that because there is no thrusting, it doesn't count as sex.
Yeah, you just tripped and fell.
Exactly.
And stayed in place.
So I've already described jump humping. Here's a quote. Did you know if someone else jumps on the bed, the movement doesn't count? Ex-Mormon and TikTok user @funeralpot potato slut.
Funeral potato
I'm
slut.
sorry. I have to stop the show. That's the funniest name, and I've been around a long time. I've been around a long time. I've seen a lot of gamer tags. I've seen a lot of anonymous Twitter handles. I ran a whole website full of jackasses with inappropriate and offensive anonymous usernames at one point. At Funeral Potato Slut is the funniest name I have ever seen. She captioned a video that demonstrates how jump humping works. Did you know if someone else jumps on the bed, the movement doesn't count?
Jump humping.
It also says jump humping and soaking are framed as loopholes to avoid penetrative sex, but they can result in the same consequences if proper protection is not used, like pregnancy and STIs.
Mm-hmm.
Holy shit, really?
Yeah, you're not safe from pregnancy just because you jump humped. So
Yeah, I feel like it's just even more embarrassing when you finish in 10 seconds because your buddy Steve was jumping on the bed.
Right? What does he say? Does he give you encouragement?
Because Steve got you off, technically. Right? Like, and he fucked both of you.
Yeah.
Steve is the one having sex here.
But also the one doing the least amount of questionable things. So
And somehow making love at the same time. The least amount of sin and the most lovemaking. Because whatever that is, the soaking and the motion caused by a mattress that Steve's jumping on, that's not lovemaking, Jared. That's not sex the way God intended it. I just have a hard time believing that if you asked the good Lord Almighty, God, would you prefer if I full-on railed the shit out of this girl or boy? Or if I entered him or her and remained still as my friend Steve came in and jumped on the bed? Which would you prefer?
You know what they say, Ross? They say it's not the size of the ship. It's the motion of Steve.
It's the motion that Steve can create in your waterbed, really, is what...
That's actually that's a life hack. That's a jump pump hack.
Don't need Steve anymore. Get you a waterbed, one medicine ball, enter her, medicine ball on the other side of the waterbed, wave pool. This is the freakiest Mormon sex ever invented. I just changed the whole Mormon lovemaking game off the top. Which just kind of shows you how talented of an individual I am. Sexually.
Imagine you're at a Mormon summer camp and there's two Mormons soaking on the blob. and then Steve jumps off the top of the tower.
Dude, come on, man.
It's the ultimate jump pump.
I went to a camp that had like 4 blobs. I've been on too many blobs to not crack when you say that out loud. Holy shit. That is the ultimate jump pump. I'm sorry, there are levels to this shit. There are levels to this shit. Jared's at the top. I thought I was the teacher. I am the student. Jared is the master. The student has become the master. The blob is the top of the pyramid there. It's the step below it is the waterbed. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
That's not even true because you got a trampoline in there somewhere that just creates a whole nother level, and you got to get one with the netted sides. We don't want you and your sexual partner flying off the trampoline because you guys were too lazy or poor to buy one that would enclose you so that when Steve jumps, you're not in danger. We don't want you to hurt yourselves here. We want you to have safe, sin-free, motion-free sex or motion-filled sex, but the motion caused by Steve, not you or your partner, therefore still gaining you access to eternal life. Just imagine if you believe that. I just can't.
Oh, you think you're smarter than God? You think God didn't think of this and you're fucking
How could you possibly think if one of the other things that you believe is that God sees everything? You think he's cool with this? Like he didn't hear you guys organizing it? Oh, Steve just happened to fucking walk in the room and start jumping on the bed? Like God doesn't know.
No, they kept all the communication on Telegram, encrypted messages.
Oh, Signal. They were on Signal, Jared. God can't see that shit, huh? Disappearing messages, huh?
Cyberdust.
Fuck, what's unfortunate. I've been praying. That's where I pray, is on Cyberdust. So you're telling me he hadn't been seeing those messages? That explains a lot, actually.
Can we get Mark Cuban to invest in us again?
Yeah, I'm going to try. That was fun, man. And generally, he clearly didn't give a fuck what we did. We're not going to talk about it, but he really didn't give a fuck what we did. Cubes, holler, Not like a Shark Tank situation. We don't want your money, but
He's a huge Ethereum guy.
we don't want. What I mean is, we don't want you to have equity. I can't work for you, but I will take some of your money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Speaking of which, this episode is also brought to you by Headspace. We have spent a ton of time the last year talking about mental health, ways to improve our lives with mindfulness and conscious living and meditation in particular, and how Jared and I, this is something that we have both tried ourselves and found success with in the past just year alone. So Headspace, if you have 10 minutes, can change your life. They really have already technically changed your life because today's episode is brought to you by Headspace. It's your daily dose of mindfulness in the form of guided meditations in a very easy-to-use app. One of the only meditation apps advancing the field of mindfulness and meditation through clinically validated research. So whatever the situation, Headspace really can help you feel better. This is my favorite thing. If you're overwhelmed, they've got a 3-minute SOS meditation that you could do right now. If you tonight get in bed and you realize, fuck, I'm having a lot of trouble falling asleep, they've got a wind down session that can help you fall asleep. That's phenomenal. If you're a parent, they've got morning meditation routines you can do with your kids to start to teach them these things at a young age, which is huge and not something that most people in our generation, or especially the generations above us, ever had. Headspace's approach to mindfulness can reduce stress, improve sleep, boost focus, increase your overall sense of well-being. Backed by 25 published studies on its benefits with 600,000 five-star reviews, over 60 million downloads, and they make it easy for you to build a life-changing meditation practice with mindfulness that works on your schedule, anytime, anywhere. You deserve to feel happier, J-Bone.
Thank you.
And Headspace is meditation made simple. Go to headspace.com/Ross today. That's headspace.com/Ross, and you will get a free month. That's a free 1-month trial.
Can't beat that.
With access to Headspace's full library of meditations for every situation. It's not some like small, they give you 1 5-minute thing to enjoy. Full access, full library, the best deal offered right now. Headspace.com/Ross. Go today. All right, so there's one more thing to discuss. There was this incredible story from back in August that I missed, and now it's being sent to me every day. And I don't know if it's like going viral internationally or something, or like, I really don't know. I cannot tell. But it's coming at me from every angle because the subject of the story's name, Jared, is Ron Bolen. Now, obviously, I, and many of you listening are familiar with my alter ego, Ron Bowler, which is who I become when I use medicinal marijuana, as it were, by my own definition, not by any doctors. And Ron Bolen has been a kind of like a reoccurring bit on this show and in my life for a few years now, really. So when I hear that there's a dude out there actually named Ron Bolen, my real last name, I'm like, oh my God. And obviously enough people go, oh my God, because I've been sent the Oklahoman article 1,000 times. So from the Oklahoman, Ron Bolen made peace with what he anticipated would happen. Writing goodbye notes to his family and friends, the 56-year-old Oklahoma resident had reached the grim conclusion that he was going to die on the mountain. It was late Friday afternoon on July 16th, and the University of Oklahoma assistant professor in the College of Business had been lost on Boundary Peak for 4 days. He had survived by drinking water from streams and rationing one white chocolate macadamia nut Cliff Bar. Which I gotta say, if Darren Ravel hasn't commented on this already, because I've been blocked by him and I cannot tell, we do need to know the marketing value that Cliff Bar has received because of Ron Bolen. And have they signed him yet? And if not, Cliff Bar, get off your fucking asses and go pay this man his due and proper.
Did you actually see there was an alternate story here? A lot of people are reporting this Cliff Bar story, but there's an alternate story that it was actually a Kind Bar, and by the end of the 4 days he had lost all of his teeth. For people who don't know, Ross lost a tooth in a Kind Bar once.
Yeah, but it wasn't Kind Bar's fault, and they were cool as shit and sent me like $300 or $500 or something, which was dope. So yeah, anyway, back to the story. He had been taking small rat bites out of the protein bar since Tuesday, the day he ascended into Nevada's natural highest point in the Inyo National Forest. And I want to note, rat bites is literally in quotes, which means that I think he said it, which means he thinks of himself as a rat, which is just, I guess what happens to you psychologically after you spend 4 days out there by yourself.
Ronnie the Rat sounds like a Sopranos character.
Might be a Sopranos character you haven't watched, and I can't tell you because that would be a spoiler. Bolin, this is so cool to me. Bolin wrote that he was prepared to die and thankful for the life that he had been given. Technically, I've also written that. This could be about me. It's not, though. He wrote to his twin daughters, Meredith and Jessica, that he was sad at the thought of missing weddings and grandchildren. Damn, bro, probably don't put that on them in the goodbye letter. They know. They're going to think of that you won't be there for that. He even penned a note of apology to the person who would find his body. And here's the thing. They did find his body. But he was still alive. And he's fine. It was 3 of his friends. Basically figured out this dude didn't make it home. They went out there looking for him. They, obviously called the proper authorities as well. But it was the actual 3 friends who found Ron, who kept his ass alive with one macadamia nut bar, Cliff Bar, that he was eating in rat bites, which is a crazy-ass survival story. I always wonder, was there a more capable Bolin out there than me? And it might be Ron.
No. This is like, this whole story makes no sense to me. He went alone.
He got lost.
To go hike. He got lost. How do you get lost? I understand there's probably no cell service out there, whatever. But you have a trail map, and you go, okay, how spatially unaware are you if you're getting lost going hiking?
You're so, you need to stop what you're doing right now and acknowledge your spatial awareness privilege, your directional privilege. Because for people like me, where I don't know where north, south, east, or west are, Jared, and I don't know how to read a fucking map, all right? I don't know what the legend is, okay?
I guarantee you this is also a very popular hiking path. Probably really... this guy fucked up.
How are you survival shaming Ron Bolen right now?
This guy clearly fucked up and now is acting like he's a fucking hero when he caught. That's like me crashing into a car and being like, I survived the car crash. Holy shit. Wow, I'm so big.
Look how serious he's taking it too.
Dude, fuck you, Ron Bolin. I don't like Ron Bolin.
Look how serious he's taking it. Yeah, look, I'm not. This guy's no blood of mine. Some imposter Bolin clan running around out there. I don't fucking know this guy.
Blood
all right?
of my blood.
This isn't my Ron. I'm not abandoning my boy here. There will be no blood, but there might be, but there's just none between us currently. I'm just saying. No, I'm for real though. This is it's crazy. This is one of those things where I can't really imagine. I only know what it feels like to think you're dying for at a maximum a few hours. If I spent more than 12 hours unfound in a national park situation, national forest, excuse me, I'm going to know it's over for me. Because I'm not that dude, guy. And I'm not that guy, dude. It's just, I'm not your buddy either.
So let's say this. Let's say his point for this was to climb the mountain, right?
Pal?
I don't know. Or all he has to do is look around and go, oh, hey, look, it's whatever the name of the mountain is, the highest mountain in Nevada. Somebody's probably going to be hiking it like I was over the next however many days. Why don't I go as high up as I can on the mountain and then try to find somebody? It just doesn't make sense to me.
There is this whole story I'm not going to read where essentially he kept going to spots where he thought there would be maps and then shit just didn't work out. And he was in really bad shape. I don't know if he had some kind of medical condition or what the situation was exactly, but this dude got lost as fuck, didn't have any food. And everywhere he went on this little trail where they have a map of the whole thing. It's with this whole thing now, right? He's told everybody his whole story. There's maps of every spot he went and couldn't find a map because he thought there would be a map when there wasn't a map, blah, blah, blah.
This cuck missed out on, this cuck would not have been in such a bad position if he had remembered the 6 Ps. Proper planning prevents poor performance. Pussy.
True enough, but phone dead, no cell service, even if it hadn't been dead, and the second my phone dies, I'm dead too. It's over. I get that, and I admit that, which is why I don't, that's the thing about Ron Bolen. That's the takeaway from Ron's story, really, and it's what makes him a lesser man than Ron Bowler and Ross Bolin and all the other Bolins.
You take Ron Bowler's bong away from him, he dies.
I think he would fashion one out of nature. I think he would survive and thrive. I don't think he would go down like that. And this man, he overestimated himself. He wasn't willing to look himself in the mirror and say, I'm not that guy, pal.
So he brought one Cliff Bar.
a fucking macadamia nut Cliff Bar, and this dude just went out there like he never watched that movie 47 Hours or whatever where Seth Rogen's best friend has to saw his arm off.
I mean, that's like 50%, right? I guess.
Mostly, right?
It's 127 Hours starring James Franco about the story of Aaron Ralston cutting his hand off after it was stuck behind a boulder.
I mean, it's like a forearm down. I don't know if just hand. It wasn't a Luke Skywalker situation.
You were the chosen one, Ron.
Ah! Yeah. I was holding my hand and screaming. Anyway, today's episode is also brought to you by our sports betting sponsor. That did you know? MyBookie.ag. Use the code RBP when you sign up at MyBookie.ag and you'll unlock a double deposit bonus, and support the podcast while you do your sports betting. Stipulations apply. RBP is the code. Go to MyBookie.ag today. If you like sports, if you enjoy betting on sports, you can do that and support the podcast when you bet with MyBookie.ag, and they're going to let you unlock a double deposit bonus when you use that code RBP upon sign up. Great website, easy access on mobile, incredible layout, platforms great, live lines, all the prop bets you could desire, futures. And if you're not a sports betting guy, if you're like, I don't really care about sports, they have a casino. It's a lot of fun. The online casino is a blast. They have a live casino where you watch real people deal the cards and do the roulette ball, and that is very tight. Not something I'd experienced anywhere until I did it on MyBookie.ag. So check it out today, MyBookie.ag, if you're one of the sports bettors in our audience. We know there's a lot of you. Support the pod by going to MyBookie.ag, claiming that double deposit bonus when you use the code RBP. Stipulations apply, and maybe you can be that guy. Pal?
Maybe.
Maybe. Jared, allegedly, I have big news.
Allegedly, you have big
Allegedly,
news?
I have big news.
Or you have big alleged
The
news?
last time I was promised this thing, I was let down.
Was it sex?
No. No, it was courtside seats to a Rockets game. And for those of you who have been here long enough to remember, you may remember that Arian Foster, a.k.a. Bobby Fino, told me he was going to take me courtside to a Rockets game. He was like, oh, I'll take you. You've never been? Like it was casual. I was like, no, I haven't fucking been. And he was like, I'll take you. And I like shit all over myself. And he was like, are you okay, dude? And I was like, yeah, I'm cool. You're going to call me when we're going to that game, right? And he never did. It's amazing. Weird, right? But point is this. Still been a dream of mine. Always been a dream of mine. Massive Rockets fan. Fan of all the Houston teams, but like the Rockets more than any other one. Have just always kind of like had my heart. And our lawyer, Brandon, Mr. Rankin, as it were, hit me up and he's like, dude, I think I'm going to get us courtside seats for over Thanksgiving. And I was like, shit, what game would we be going to? He's like, oh, Charlotte Hornets. And I was like, oh shit, no way, that's crazy. It's Cole's old team, coincidentally. Shouts to Cole's. But he hit me up yesterday and he was like, dude, huge news. We're going. So allegedly, this is actually happening where I'm going to get to go sit courtside at a Rockets game, and I only have like a few weeks to think of like, first of all, what I'm going to wear, because this will be the coolest picture I've ever gotten in my whole life, right?
And a lot of listeners are going to be looking for you.
What am I going to wear? And then how do I behave not shittily?
Pull a Jason Kidd and then have one of the players run into you with a cup of ice and spill it all over the court.
Larry David is my favorite because he was an actual fan and tripped Shaq.
No, he did not.
And he injured him. Yeah. It was an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm, not in real life.
Okay.
But yeah, every time I see somebody courtside and, they show them on the screen or whatever, and I'm not like nearly famous enough for that to happen, but I'm always
Ross
like,
Bolin.
yeah, who the fuck? Drake, Travis Scott, local podcaster Ross Bolin. Yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen. But they always look like douchebags. Kind of. Travis Scott pulls it off, but Drake usually looks like a douche when they show him on TV. Just anywhere, I guess. Drake's a bad example.
I mean, how about that picture of him with like the upside down
Okay,
visor?
Here's the point. It's easy to look like an asshole in a stadium when you're unprepared and they suddenly have a camera on you shown to the entire audience plus the viewing audience at home. So I need to prepare myself to avoid any such asshole activities. And I don't drink. Most people who go sit courtside have had a few. I'm just going to be out there, you know?
You should enter the K-hole before you go.
So official, all I'll need is a whistle. Yeah, that is the key, Jared, is deciding how deeply into the K-hole I want to go pregame, right?
Like, you want to be able to, like, peek your head out the top.
Of the K-hole.
But you want the majority.
But you want to be in
of
there.
Yeah.
In the K. Anyway, happy birthday to Anvi. Thanks for listening. We appreciate you. It means a lot. If you want more RBP, guess what?
What?
A third episode is dropping this week, Jared.
Oh my
but you
God.
can only listen to it in one place and one place only. Patreon.com/Ross Bolin podcast, where every Friday Jared and I drop an ad-free exclusive premium edition of this show.
New episode, never before heard.
Exclusive shit. You're going to love it. Go to patreon.com/Ross Bolin podcast today. Get that Friday episode when it drops. And there's more. Wait, there's more. Is what they say.
You can't.
Not both.
Yeah.
Wait, there's more. Let me do the... Shut up, Jared. Back to you, Jared. Excuse me. Well, you can't press it and then not speak. Do you not know
Back to you, Jared.
Oh, for the love of God. Wait, and then there's more. If you're in the enforcer tier, you get 2 mental health minisodes, also 6 total columns if you're in the enforcer or OG tiers.
All coming.
All coming in the next 3.
2.
And by 3, I mean 2 days. And guess what? You also get a Bolin Media update column no matter which tier you're in on patreon.com/Ross Bolin podcast. So, in all seriousness, to support the show, to support the company, we need y'all on Patreon. If you want to see the podcast continue, if you want to see the company be a thing and grow and thrive and us be able to hire people that aren't just me and Jared and have full-time focus and really accomplish the things we need to be able to keep this show going and not just showing, maybe get it growing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we want to be growers, not showers. But we want to show people how much our show is growing.
We want to show and then grow. We want to be showers and growers, which is a hard thing to accomplish. But we want to be both. So we need you to go today to patreon.com/Ross Bolin podcast. We are, like, as of this week, a 1,000% self-sufficient operation up in this bitch. And we need y'all badly. We've got, like, it's just J-Bone and I. My girlfriend is helping out. We've got Content Kate on contract right now that's just through September, through October, sorry. So we're kind of at this turning point as a company and as a podcast, and really just, if you want to think of it this way, RBP is our biggest revenue driver currently at Bolin Media, which is our company, so therefore it is the most important thing for us to grow. And the way we can do that is by having our listenership show their support for us and show us that they want us here and want us to continue to take things to the next level. And y'all can show us that by going to patreon.com/Ross Bolin podcast and throwing us just $5 a month. That's the minimum pledge. To get the ad-free Friday episodes, it's $5. You spend $5 on dumb shit all the time. Don't do that. Next time you're about to do some dumb shit with $5, say, wait a minute, no. Ross and J-Bone need this money.
Mm-hmm.
What's our names on Patreon? They wouldn't even know this joke if they're not there.
Oh, Sauce Ross and Bread Boy?
Sauce Ross and Bread Boy need your money. And if you want to know what that joke means, you're going to need to go to patreon.com/Ross Bolin podcast today. Don't spend that $5 on some dumb shit. Spend it on patreon.com/Ross Bolin podcast with us. Get more laughs, more love, more life. Which at Hobby Lobby, they say, are the 3 most important things.
True.
Live, life, laugh, love. Fuck. What is it?
It's the 5 L's. Live, laugh, love, laugh,
and lie.
and lie.
That's what Jared has tatted right above his ass crack. It's his tramp stamp. Says live, laugh, love, laugh, and lie. Anyway, when we hit 5,000 patrons on Patreon, Jared's going to get that on his ass, right above his ass crack.
On my second butthole.
If we hit...
10,000 is the number.
If
It's on there. It says 10,000 is what you said.
For what?
You're going to get the Houston tattoo, the Slim Thug Houston
shit.
tattoo.
Okay, so if we hit 20,000, then I'll get a tramp stamp of what you just said. 20,000 patrons, I'll get the tramp stamp of what you just said. By the time we get there, the technology will exist for me to get a tattoo that can somehow be removed much more easily than just the laser system now.
Or a blacklight tattoo like Grimes, who's going to be on a lesbian sex commune. Tied that in, huh?
Well, I'll be there too, so I can probably get plugged in with her girl, assumedly. Probably not a guy.
Yeah, probably not.
Right? Safely assume that. Anyway, patreon.com/Ross Bolin podcast. If you enjoyed this week's Monday and Wednesday episode, then certainly there's no reason you wouldn't go right now, sign up, and be ready for Friday. Plus, immediately upon sign up, you gain access to our entire backlog of episodes. Flip through them. Look at all those fucking episode titles. The last week's is Sauce Ross and Bread Boy Ride Again or some shit.
Yeah, we just had somebody join, and they were like, hey, I listen to the pod every day at work, got caught up, had to join the Patreon, so happy to be here. And we're like, hell yeah, let's go.
Fucking A. Great user review there from J-Bone. Thanks for sharing with us, Jared.
Mm-hmm.
Phenomenal stuff. Yeah, patreon.com/Ross Bolin podcast. Jared and I really do appreciate each and every one of you listening, whether you go or not. But if you can't afford to go and you do want more, that's the place to get it right there on patreon.com/Ross Bolin podcast. See you Friday. And if not, then Monday and Wednesday and Monday and Wednesday and Monday and Wednesday. Follow us everywhere on social media. Share our stuff. Follow Jared everywhere at Jared Borslow. Follow at Formula Bone everywhere. Follow at Banging the Can everywhere. At WR Bolin everywhere. And have yourself a hell of a rest of the week, you know? Hit us up on social media, though, for real. Tell us what your favorite parts of the episode were this week. I feel like we're not doing enough interaction these days.
Yeah, we used to get, so if people look at our Instagram stories, people keep thinking that that's us. That's our pictures. And they're like, bro.
You're an idiot.
So there's a picture of, somebody took a picture of Chipotle napkins and outside the can, it looked like a fiery hell, or outside of the can, outside of the bag, the light was hitting the brown bag. So it looked like a volcano. Somebody was concerned for our lives. They were like, dude, are you guys in a volcano right now? Like,
yeah, I'll
do I
put
need to
up like a
save you?
picture of like, there'll be like some kind of alcoholic beverage in the situation and people will be like, Ross, you're drinking again? And I'm like, dude, figure it out.
Yeah, these are user-submitted, which we love to fill up our Instagram story with user-submitted photos that are related to the show, inside jokes, segments, shit we talk about.
Yeah.
So send in all that shit to us. We repost everything. As
Yeah,
long as
but-
it's not offensive, we repost every single goddamn thing that gets sent in.
Comment on all of our videos that you see on TikTok, on Instagram. Tag your friends in them. Share them to your stories or your timeline or whatever version of hell you're currently in on social media.
If you don't believe that
And
we
it means a
repost
lot.
everything, why don't you try us, bitch?
Means a lot. We have spent a ton of energy, effort, time, and money making sure that our marketing gets to a place that we can be really proud of.
Yeah,
And
a
I'm
lot
super
of-
proud of Jared and I
Thank you.
for that effort over the past several months. So y'all make sure that we feel the love, if you would. It would mean a lot.
A lot of blood, sweat, and cum went into...
It did. And in particular to patreon.com/Ross Bolin podcast, where I promise you, if the next 2 days pass and you're like, nope, sorry, that wasn't worth $5, just message us on there and I'll fucking refund you.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously, because it's about to rain content, Jared, down from the skies. It's going to sound like that when it rains for some reason. So go now. That's enough. I think I've talked for 5 minutes about Patreon. It's outrageous. If you're not there by now, what the hell's wrong with you? What do I need to do? Come over there and spank your tight little ass?
Yeah.
We appreciate y'all. Support our sponsors as well. They're phenomenal, and we love them.